This is Comeback. This is Napoleon Hill, Chapter 5 of Think and Grow Rich with myself and Nick. And here we are to discuss specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations, the fourth step to riches. Welcome, Nick.
What's up, man?
Let's go. Let's see where specialized knowledge gets us. This is interesting. I listened to a podcast this morning with Stephen Bartlett about how school taught him absolutely nothing, where if you kind of went through the traditional system of just believing that school will teach you everything, then he was an absolute failure. But then building a multi-million-dollar business without any formal schooling education takes a different type of intelligence. So specialized knowledge here is interesting. It links where only really go for the stuff that will help you. Go for that kind of knowledge rather than filling your minds with crap. Like, memory is not intelligence. We've discussed this before.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to learn all the fun facts about random shit, or do you want to get specific?
Exactly. About things that will benefit you, like, I don't know, relationship advice or business or your fitness or your health. Because some of the facts I've known over the years, like what was Base Hunter's first #1 and absolute garbage. And I think, yeah, how on earth is that going to help me? You know, when someone comes out with a random fact, and even me, I think, why do I know this shit? Like, why?
Maybe specialized knowledge, like, it's like, it'll be something relevant to you in that moment. And I guess if you don't choose what you want, then you don't even know what's relevant then.
Exactly. And your mind just becomes clutter of random facts and random pieces of information that you might not get anywhere with, except for maybe a pub quiz every now and then.
Yeah.
You know,
go to trivia or something.
Exactly, yeah, but it's not necessarily relevant. And it actually says here, there are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is specialized. General knowledge, however great in quantity or variety, is of little use in the accumulation of money. And he talks about universities here. It goes, they've got every general knowledge to man, but they do not apply the knowledge, because specific knowledge is practical plans of action to the definite end of accumulation of money. Goes back to chapter 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, action.
It's connecting now.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I just see the chain step by step, and I guess of knowing exactly what you want seems to be the first step. Knowing exactly what you want, having the desire and genuine motivation to do so, and then putting a practical plan of action to place.
Like, if we use the dart example again, like, the bullseye is knowing what you want, right? And then specialized knowledge is like, how do I get this dart on that bullseye? Like, what do I have to do to make that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're never gonna try to figure out how to make it hit the bullseye if you never had a bullseye.
Yeah. So the objective, the strategy, and the tactics. Like, objective, hit the bullseye. Strategy, get 180, same thing. Tactics is how you do it. Go and do so.
Now, like, I'm like imagining, like, what if somebody like likes to learn, but they also have no objective at all, and they're just intaking information, and just because that makes them feel better. I think that could happen.
It could, definitely, and you could get straight A's from that.
That could happen.
You could definitely be a straight A student with that approach, but is that going to give you anything in the real world?
But even in that case, like, your objective is to be a straight A student. But let's say you finish university, you finished all this stuff, and you're still just like absorbing all this stuff, but you don't even know why.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel better.
And where do you go with it?
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's only so many kind of straight A's you can get until you get into the workplace, and it's like, what's a straight A? But I'm going to play devil's advocate. Would that straight A mindset, which you have to be quite disciplined to get, I suppose, and you have to have the desire to learn, which I don't think is a bad thing at all, would that also equate to professional success?
Maybe you'd be a really, really good employee.
Yes.
I
think so too. I think you'd be an excellent employee, but what we're talking about here actually with the Napoleon Hill example is going one step beyond the employee. Right, okay.
Like, somebody was saying, like, the A students work for the B students and the C students own the businesses.
Where did you hear that?
I forget, man.
I love
somewhere
that.
recently.
Yeah.
Might have been like Kiyosaki or something.
I love that. The A students work for the B students and the C students own the company. I was a B student, so.
I was like, I guess I would try to aim for like the A-B honor roll, which in America is like if you get A's and B's in all your classes.
Yeah, okay.
And I would always have that one C+.
Ah, damn.
So I never got the little thing, like the framed.
Is that how they did it in America, like you got like A, B honor rolls.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like if you get A, B honor roll, then it's like, oh yeah, you're pretty good. Then if you get the A honor roll, it's like, oh yeah, you're really good.
Oh wow.
You're really smart. So I didn't get any of those in high school.
In the UK, you didn't get anything. It's just like, oh yeah, you got an A in English, B in maths, C in science. That was it, really. You just get like the list given to you. And we were actually talking in my office recently about our GCSE results, which is, I don't know the American equivalent. The exams you do when you're about 16.
Like SAT?
Possibly, yeah. I don't really know the American system. And I only remember about 3 of my grades, and no one else remembers theirs. And so I feel like year by year, that knowledge just goes out as general, and the specialised knowledge kicks into play.
Yeah.
Where I don't think any 30-year-old who's acquiring as much specialised knowledge as possible is going to think about that C in maths grade when they were 16.
Yeah, it's not relevant anymore.
Exactly, yeah. It's not specialised. And it goes, the missing link in systems of education is how to organise and use knowledge after they acquire it, which is another step, like as we've discussed before about the camera example, where a camera has so much knowledge and memory, but that's not intelligence, because it cannot be applied to anything else.
Right. The camera can't find a way to use that knowledge or all the images. It can't make a plan out of them.
Yeah, and I think I've told you I've learned this the hard way, because when I was younger, I used to pride myself on my memory, and used to think, I've got good memory, it means I'm smart. No. And it hit me like a ton of bricks when I kind of realised that in order to, I suppose, accelerate my intelligence, I had to actually organise and use the knowledge after I'd acquired it.
Right.
And it was a learning curve, shall we say, yeah.
Damn, it's like imagine if you learn all the numbers but you never actually learn math.
Yeah. Very, very similar. I think that's an excellent example. And then he actually uses a very good story here of Henry Ford where, let's just go through it. A Chicago newspaper published certain editorials that Henry Ford was an ignorant pacifist, and he brought a suit against them for libel. And then, as he was on the witness stand, they were trying to, prove that he was ignorant, and so they're applying him with general knowledge questions, such as...
Like a trivia game.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, which... I can't believe this has happened. I'm going to look into this more, because this just sounds fascinating. Like, one of the greatest inventors of all time is on the stand, like, getting a trivia quiz.
What year was this, I wonder?
18... What year was this? During World War One. Oh, God, so that would have been...
Whoa.
Wow. 1914 to 1918. Wow.
I guess it's like, imagine if Mark Zuckerberg never finished high school, or never finished just school in general, and then he was successful with Facebook. And then people were like, nah, but there's no way. He's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There's no way he did that. Let me prove it to you by asking him these fucking trivia questions.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a gotcha tactic.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the headline would be, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know, I don't know, this particular question. Doesn't know pi times 5, for example. Yeah. Madness. He was plied with questions such as, how many soldiers did the British send over to America to put down the rebellion of 1776? And what did he say? Ooh. I do not know the exact amount of soldiers the British sent over, but I have heard that it was a considerably larger number than ever went back. That is an example of intelligence. He's not giving you because if he had the memory, he could give you the figure.
Yeah.
But
he makes you imagine.
He does, yeah. Imagination's the next chapter as well, which we'll go on to next week. It's like the links are coming here. I'm noticing the chain. And finally, Mr. Ford became tired of this line in questioning and said, if I should really want, emphasis on the word want, to answer the foolish question you have just asked, or any of the other questions you have been asking me, let me remind you that I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk, and by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid people who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business which I'm devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter, keyword, up my mind with general knowledge for the purpose of being able to answer questions when I have people around me who can supply any knowledge I require?
True.
A lot of logic here. A lot of logic. I love the word clutter. I think we spoke about this recently with Feng Shui. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Feng Shui?
I guess they call it feng shui.
Feng Shui, probably.
I don't know,
yeah, excuse my lack of Japanese.
I think it's Chinese.
Oh, is it? Oh my gosh, right.
No worries.
Edit. But yeah, no, excuse my ignorance here, see.
No
but then
it doesn't matter.
Specialized knowledge. It won't help me with podcasting, That's in the general knowledge. So it's cool to make these mistakes, The answer floored the lawyer, and everyone in the courtroom realized it was an answer not of an ignorant man, but a man of education. He knows how to get knowledge where he needs it.
Yeah. It's like, why should I study like every single history book in history right now when most of it's here
Yeah.
or here.
So, precisely.
If it's relevant to me, I'll look it up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But I'm not gonna be devouring like volumes of random history just because I think I should.
Yeah, it can actually, I suppose, send you down a bad path in a way. You know, for example, if you study, I suppose, World War One or Russian history or Cuban history in extreme detail, as a British guy who lives in Vietnam at 25, will it really matter to me if I studied the 1930s history?
It depends. I mean, I guess why are you studying that?
Yeah.
Is it to impress people at dinner? Is it to feed your own ego because you think you're not worthy if
Perhaps,
you don't research shit?
Yeah, that goes back to like the why, like the Simon Sinek version of the why, where if it was to perhaps spot patterns, say if, because I was listening to a podcast recently with Tony Robbins who was talking about using history like as an example, so to spot patterns, to see what's happened before, what's happening right now and how it's happened before and what's happened after, and then see what happens in the future. So if it's to do that, to study patterns that have already evolved to use in your present day, great, do it. But again, if it's to just whack out a fact over dinner just to impress your boss, then that's a bit of a bad method.
It feels maybe too pleasurable when you start, when you research all these random facts and there's people around you just waiting to feed your ego for whatever X reason. It could happen.
It could, and you do get a dopamine hit. You know, when, for example, you're having a conversation and someone goes, oh, who was that guy who got questioned on the stand because he was a man of ignorance? And we go, Henry Ford? Yeah, we always like to be right. So it's a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
You do get that pleasure from doing so. And what I love also is that he can summon to his aid anyone who can answer the question, which shows that when he has that specific focus to use his skill set, he can then hire other people and then outsource and delegate, I suppose, where if he doesn't want to necessarily or doesn't need to, but if by some kind of universal occurrence, he needs to know about who Benedict Arnold is, he'll just get his advisor and go, who is it? Yeah.
It kind of sounds also like the, like, for example, the U.S. government, they have the Library of Congress, which is like a federal library where, they have like, I guess more information there than Google does. And if the government needs something, like information relevant to what they're working on, they'll go ask them to find that for them.
Yeah.
So they don't have to, like, the politicians don't know every single fact of human history.
Yeah.
Not even close. So they have to ask the Library of Congress, hey, I need information on this specific thing that's relevant to me right now. Find that for me.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it saves so much time because there's no point, like, for example, your skill set might be based on something completely different. So, but if you need to know that fact, get someone whose job or who has expertise in discovering those facts to do it for you.
Speaking of Library of Congress, hi, Mrs. Gibbs. My high school teacher, she was my ukulele teacher.
Oh, wow.
And like maybe the most influential teacher that I've had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so hi, Miss Gibbs.
Why did she have an impact on you?
Because like she would hint that I have a lot of potential. Like just throw a hint.
Okay.
And make me think like, I never thought about that, right?
Is there ever like a sentence she said which made you stand up?
Yeah, like for example, I retuned my ukulele in some other way, and I was like, "Hey, Mrs. Gibbs, I retuned my ukulele," and she's like, "Of course you did." And then but the look she gave me was like really deep too, and I was like, "What does this mean?" And it took me, I think, a long time to
figure it out.
Like, oh, she was empowering me.
Yeah.
Shit. And she still does. I saw her recently.
Did you? Nice.
When I went back to America, I went to the Library of Congress and I saw her, and she still does that.
Nice.
She still hypes you up.
That's excellent, man. Yeah. I feel like I'll give a plug to a teacher of mine as well. One that's coming to mind. It's weird. I had quite a few very good ones, to be honest with you. So there isn't really one that completely stands out. I never had a favourite, for example, but there was one guy who was an American guy, and we only had him for a year. But in that year, he made an impact to so many different points where we were studying Roman history for some reason in an English class. I don't know how this managed to come together. But anyway, Julius Caesar, something to do with that. And it was Friday, about just after lunch. Everyone's quite lethargic. We're not really on our game. And he goes, "Boys, it's Friday." And we all just looked at him and he paused and he just stood completely still. We're thinking, what's going on? What's he doing? And he goes, "Boys, it's Friday. I know you want to go home. You want to go to the chippy later, right? We're like, maybe, yeah. He goes, but I think we should get some energy in this class. Let's really go for it. Let's learn about Caesar. We were like, okay. And he goes, what I want you to do, this side, be gladiators. This side, be Romans. And I want you to make as much noise as possible and pretend you're in this battle scene.
Yes.
And we were like, right? And he went, yeah, go on then. And then so we all started going, Caesar. And he went, louder, Caesar, louder. And we were all going, Caesar. And he was like, yes. Next 5 minutes, we were all pumped up as fuck.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he had so many different examples of these where he'd just start telling stories. And he used to ride, he used to own radio stations in Boston. And he'd just start talking about it. He'd be like, yeah, so I was in Boston, we did this radio show, and we were going around in this limousine, and we were all sat there, like, completely starstruck. One, because he's American, because I hadn't met many Americans at that point, believe it or not. And secondly, just because he had fascinating stories. And on a more personal level, I remember once giving a piece of homework, and at this point, say when I was 12 or 13, I didn't have much self-esteem. In fact, it was quite dramatically low. And the piece of paper was just scrunched up. There was coffee stains on it. It looked like I had a dog and it had done something on it, right? And he just looked at it and went, you're better, Connor, come on. And I was like, ooh, that was pretty deep, pretty profound.
Right.
And then if I'd speak, he'd say, you're a great orator. You should do something with your voice one day. I said, ooh, that's just hit me. I didn't even think about it until this very moment.
Yeah,
but,
and dude, and you said he ran a radio station?
He did, yeah.
Now you run a podcast.
Damn, this is all coming together. And a final example, year 9 parents' evening. I wasn't doing very well in year 9 because I didn't put in much effort due to like poor self-esteem, etc., and just laziness, and I didn't really have a clue. So I didn't put in much effort, and so my parents went to parents' evening, and I got absolutely roasted. Absolutely slaughtered by teacher after teacher.
Jesus.
Oh, it was an absolute, and my parents told me this, annihilation. He's lazy, doesn't put in effort, poor grades, poor energy, waste of time, really bad parents' evening. And they were getting more and more disheartened the more it was coming up. Yeah. And we get the final one I go to is English, where it's him and another lady, Miss O'Hara, I think. And she was just slating me again. She was going in that he wasn't applying himself effectively. And apparently Mr. Benjamin, sorry, I don't know if I mentioned his name. It's Mr. Benjamin. Shout out Mr. Benjamin if you're watching. I hope he does, actually. I'll get in touch with him after this. I'll find a way. Anyway, he sat there and he's just completely sat there, completely still. And my parents were thinking, why is he here? Because he just introduced himself as an American guy. Yeah. He just sat there like this. And then she was just giving her speech about how bad I was. And then finally, as she stopped, he went, I want to hear more from Connor. And then he went, he's great. He really can do a lot of things. I want to hear him speak. I want to hear his ideas. I like his writing. I think he can do something. He just needs the confidence. And my parents came away and they were thinking, wow, this guy says something fucking great. They completely roasted me when I got home and I got grounded, etc. And understandably so. But every time, like, we still remember him. Like, every time we speak, my parents will go, oh, not every time we speak, but every time we speak about my education, shall we say, so maybe every few months, they'll always go, oh, Mr. Benjamin and the things he said. Damn, he's had an impact. Yeah. So I know we've completely digressed from Hill here, just talking about our teacher experiences.
I mean, it's connected in a way.
I'd say so,
because your teacher was somebody with really high emotional IQ.
Yes.
And there's not many people like that.
Absolutely.
And I asked Mrs. Gibbs, why don't they teach us emotional IQ in school? And she said, because even the teachers don't know.
It's
so
true.
How can they teach you?
Yeah, and school's more like a business. Actually, I think schools are businesses where if they get a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of students get grades. So how do you get students to get grades? You give them information, you hope they process it, then the revenue.
At least in America, that's the No Child Left Behind, I believe.
Okay.
That, like, you get this like standardized test called SOLs, I believe. A standardized test for all the kids, and if more kids pass this test, then the school gets more funding. So the teachers have to cram this general knowledge into your brain for you to memorize to pass this test to get them funding. Yeah,
and also, like, as we've mentioned about education before, like, as a teacher, you don't get motivations to do this. You don't get incentives. So, for example, if you teach them an unorthodox method and get them really inspired, and say if you go the extra mile, you very rarely get a reward for it. For example, if you do the bare minimum and your students still pass, if you go the extra mile and the students pass, you get the same pay grade at the end of the day. Yeah. So the teacher has to be really intrinsically motivated. Yeah. And luckily, like, Mrs. Gibbs and Mr. Benjamin were, but... Yeah.
My brother too, Danny.
Is he a teacher as well?
Yeah, he teaches choir.
No, we're teachers as well.
And we're teachers too.
Yeah. And this afternoon you're going to teach, like, in your free time, up
Yeah, we're gonna do some soccer coaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's all teaching, it's all coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spoke to a great music teacher on Tuesday who does Irish traditional. She's recently been awarded an MBE, which I don't know the American equivalent. But
Masters.
No, it's an honour you get from the Queen.
Oh damn.
Does she get to meet the Queen? I'm gonna ask her this. Yeah, but yeah, it's a huge honour. Like all the kind of high, like Marcus Rashford got it. I'm sure you've heard of his charity work recently. Yeah, it's a big honour, and so that just shows that you can really put yourself out there and get there.
True, man.
Yeah.
And shout out also to my brother's school, Ripon Middle School. I saw them perform at their like end of the year concert before I came. Yeah.
Excellent, man. That sounds sweet. Yeah, my sister's also a music teacher, so
really?
there's a lot of links coming. And my mum,
Wow.
He might meet next week.
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
That'd be sweet. We digress. Or we don't digress, really. I think we've kind of touched upon labels, but let's go to the next part of this chapter, which is about the mastermind group, which is, we can talk about this for a while, right? Yeah. Like, gain your tribe, your mastermind group. And these are the people who are going to help you. These are the people who are going to possess knowledge useful in the accumulation of money as much, regardless of their education, they just have the same complex as you in terms of what they want. This doesn't just apply to money, it could be development, relationships, sport, music.
True.
Yeah, the concept of team, that's why endeavours such as choirs or sports teams are so popular, because it's the concept of a team, everyone helping each other with their different roles. You'll have the conductor, either on the football field or in the choir. You'll have the solo, the one who does the solo, the ones who do the work behind the scenes. You need a mixture.
Yeah. Not everybody can play striker.
Exactly,
Defenders.
Yeah.
And midfielders.
To use football examples, which we occasionally do use, like PSG currently have Lionel Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, three of the world's best attackers.
Yeah.
Sergio Ramos at the back, brilliant defender, one of the best of all time, Donnarumma in net. But they just get completely bypassed because they're all going for the same goal. Everyone's trying to attack and get as many goals as possible, and there's no balance or cohesion in the team. So they always get knocked out in, like, say, round of 16, quarter-final, semi-final one year, and they just don't make it.
They got to the final against who again?
They got to the final 2 years ago against Bayern Munich, and they lost because Bayern Munich had a more effective, cohesive team.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
That's teamwork.
It is, absolutely, yeah. And then you look at some teams that, like even Real Madrid this year, they work as a team. And that's how they managed to win the Champions League. And I regret to say it, but Liverpool and Manchester City are very, very well drilled as teams. Very, very... You can see it comes from Klopp and Pep Guardiola. Yeah. Like, they've completely all in with the mission and the vision. Whilst my team, Manchester United, all about superstars, all about individual brilliance. Whether it be Ronaldo or it used to be Greenwood, not him anymore, Rashford, Martial, and it just doesn't work. And we had a disastrous season.
Yeah. It's weird not seeing them up in the top.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Same with AC Milan, but I guess now they're coming back. Right?
AC Milan won the league last year. They're coming back, which is nice. Yeah. I like vintage football teams like AC Milan, Bayern Munich, Ajax, Barcelona, who are on the decline, and that's a shame because I like them. But yeah, hopefully Manchester United can get there. Yeah. Not to digress again. Thomas Edison is one of them. He only had 3 months schooling during his entire life. Ford and Edison did not have much formal schooling.
Yo, Dan Pena said that the lower someone's IQ, the higher money they can make.
I saw this short actually the other day on London Real. Yeah, because the person with the low IQ just takes the risk, whilst the engineers, the doctors, the lawyers, the scientists, they overanalyze. Yeah, and they think of everything that can go wrong. And they're logical and they're smart, and so a lot of the time it will go wrong, but the people with the low IQ just go.
Dude, now imagine Elon, dude, because Elon's a genius.
He is.
But he also believes this is not actual reality.
Yeah.
So why would you be scared if you're not in reality? Like, if this is a game, why not go for it?
What does he actually believe in terms of not reality? I don't really know much about Elon's philosophy.
Something like this is not actual reality. This is I don't know what this would be.
Yeah. Okay.
He gives some kind of percentage. Like this is like a 1 in billion chance. So this is actual reality. But
I wonder where he gained this insight.
I don't know. He's done a lot of philosophical research too.
Has he? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and I don't doubt his credentials. Yeah. And here we go. Dave Thomas, who founded the Wendy's restaurant chain. I can imagine this is a recent example. He achieved success. He was a dropout, but he encouraged youngsters to continue their schooling. Then he thought he'd back it up by working to get his own high school diploma 45 years after he left school. Now, I love that, because if you're a dropout, you could easily go down the message of, no, drop out. You know, like, it's easy, you can start your own business. But I guess we have to have nuance where dropping out is for some people. staying in education is for some. And as a dropout, he could easily say, yeah, come on, just drop out and start your own business. But that's a dangerous message to give to people with no clear ambition. Because you could just say, yeah, I'll start a business and not have a fucking clue where to begin. But he decided to go the opposite way and actually go and do his high school diploma after he's gone and say, you can still pursue your education, kids. Yeah.
Like, Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of university, but he had a plan. He knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah, same with Bill Gates.
Same with John Mayer. He dropped out of Berkeley Music School.
Yeah.
But he had a plan to.
He did.
He knew what he wanted.
Is that a prestigious music school?
It's not the most prestigious, but I guess it's considered good.
Yeah.
I think.
So as someone who barely plays guitar, I did watch a talk of John Mayer on there just because I like John Mayer. And yeah,
Damn.
seemed pretty cool, yeah. Was he your idol when you were younger?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
damn.
at the end of, since I was maybe 19 years old.
Right, okay.
Since then, yeah.
That's sweet. Because it's a strange one. I've talked to my American friends before. He's enormous in America, but in England, you only know him through kind of certain niches. And so when I got completely into him in 2016, which is quite late, I was looking for people who like John Mayer. I found no one.
Wait, how'd you get into him?
Completely random. I don't actually know what happened. I just somehow on Spotify stumbled across a song of his and then thought, oh, this guy's got an incredible kind of songwriting ability and voice. Let me try a few more, and then got completely hooked. Battle Studies. I listened to that whole album. Yeah, insane album.
I got hooked because of, I think it was Half of My Heart.
Yes, yeah, that's got to be up there. Yeah, I think it was Say because I heard Say on the Karate Kid remake. I hate to say that, but that's where I heard it, and I thought,
really?
Yeah. And then I went to Battle Studies, heard Half My Heart with Taylor Swift. Thought this is a good song. Then I heard Heartbreak Warfare, Edge of Desire, Assassin, Perfectly Lonely, Crossroads, and thought,
that entire album is amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I've actually reviewed it on this podcast with Lewis. Yeah. We'll do it again one day. We won't review. We reviewed Battle Studies and Continuum.
Okay.
So I think we should do like one of the early ones.
Let me join you guys for
Room for Squares or Heavier Things.
Heavier Things.
That's your one.
Heavier Things. Yeah.
Min. It pays to know how to purchase knowledge. First of all, decide on the sort of specialized knowledge you require and the purpose for which it is needed. Your major purpose in life, the goal towards which you are working, will help determine what knowledge you need. With this question settled, your next move requires that you have accurate information concerning dependable sources of knowledge. Experience, education, through cooperation of others, then colleges, then libraries, then courses. Quite a few methods.
Some organizations, they offer knowledge for money, right? And the funny thing is that many of them maybe could be like sketchy or shady, however you want to say it. And then people will label all of them as sketchy or shady.
Yeah.
But if you find like the pattern of which one is legit, then trust your gut on that pattern.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then you'll find the real ones.
Yeah, I was actually I was at a workshop yesterday, and there was shout out Project Elon, who is a YouTuber here in Vietnam who's got 1 million subscribers. So he's on self-development. So he's built up pretty rapidly. And he was saying how, sell your services, sell your transformation courses, show what value you can give and what problem you can solve for others through your courses. The only issue is because there are a lot out there that, some might be perceived as shady. Whether they actually are, let's be honest, some will be, but you have to, as you mentioned, use your intuition, your gut to see which is, what are the shady ones, which ones are the legitimate ones.
Yeah. But like Dan Pena also said, some people out there that are selling self-development, they'll be selling you like the knowledge of it, but they've never actually done it themselves.
Yeah. That's when it goes to reputation, where if you, for example, Elon Musk came up to you and started talking about like how you can send a rocket to Mars, you'd think, right, you might have something to do it, But if Joey from the street, if Joey come out of the boozer and said it, you'd probably just not bat an eyelid.
True, yeah.
Depends, yeah. Goes back to capital as well. Like, if you want to really make a change in building orphanages abroad with making millions of dollars and changing the world, quote unquote, it helps to have like a capital first. Like if you're Roger Federer, he built his brand through tennis and then changed it into philanthropy. Same with, say, Tiger Woods, maybe not Tiger Woods, or LeBron James, or
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yeah, he's a good example. So many examples of like they had that career capital first, which had their reputation, which gave them the resources to do so.
True.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie. Maybe?
Yes, Angelina Jolie's a big one. Yeah. Who's the other? Ashton Kutcher. He's a huge one. Yeah. He's done a lot. He's done a lot to stop child sex trafficking as well.
Damn, true.
Yeah, very impressive. But here we go. The knowledge acquiring period does not end when you finish school.
All right.
It's really true. I've learned more knowledge since I left school than I did in it. I think I just mentioned about how me from 11 to 16, complete dosser in school. Honestly, like, information was coming at me and it just went like that.
Same.
Yeah, I really did not ever think this will actually benefit me. And so many times now, especially related to media, I look back and think, I wish I'd have just grasped a bit of this. But
now we can.
Now we can, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you can choose what's relevant to you. Not just
Yeah,
catch
exactly. Yeah.
all the general stuff, just catch what's relevant to you.
Yeah. Like if I sat a chemistry class for, say, 13, 14-year-olds, I'd probably still struggle. And honestly, I do not care one bit, because I don't think it's going to benefit me in my podcasting and my working, my writing, my branding. I don't think it will benefit me. We'll see.
Yeah, until one day you see that maybe it will, and then you'll pay attention, right?
Yeah, and then I'll find somebody who can do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find like a high school major or whatnot. Yeah, and I love this bit about not all careers require university degrees, where I think we were actually talking yesterday, me and a couple of friends or new friends or acquaintances, about how a lot of universities, a lot of degrees that you could probably get similar knowledge from not doing the degree and just doing it. Like, for me, journalism, I've done more for my kind of journalistic portfolio here doing the podcast than I ever did in my 3 years at Sheffield. If you study business degree, like, you could probably learn more from starting a business than the skills you'll actually learn by doing it rather than in the classroom. It's probably the same for a lot of other things.
You could probably learn more psychology by just dealing with your inner demons every day instead of reading textbooks.
Yeah. That goes to like motion versus action, which we discussed last time. Yeah, and it comes in here. I think motion versus action, probably pretty similar to general knowledge versus specialized knowledge. I mean, there still has to be an action element in the specialized, but if you have specialized knowledge, you're more likely to take action, maybe, because you know that it can benefit you.
Maybe like action is like has like a it's going in a direction. It's not just moving.
Yeah.
Like it has a purpose, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Whilst if it's general, you could easily get discombobulated or completely, just overwhelmed with information that isn't necessarily relevant, and it will stop you from taking any kind of action.
True.
Because information overload, you'll have too much information, too many sources, you don't know which one to go for, and when you have that, the easiest thing to do is do nothing.
True.
I'll use a trivial example. I was once at a social gathering with about 15 people, and we tried to pick a Netflix film. As you can imagine, the amount of, no, I don't like that, I like that, I like that, took 2 hours, and eventually we didn't watch anything.
Damn.
Didn't watch anything. And even when I'm on my own sometimes, I won't actually watch a Netflix program because I've got too many options. It's like to the paradox of choice as well.
Yeah. I think like before I do that, I decide what genre do I want. So at least I can look up the genre.
Yeah, exactly.
And not scroll through like just everything.
Yeah. I suppose like that example and also the one here comes back to filtering out the noise, where you only have a certain amount of time, energy, effort, both in your brain and I guess your external world to actually choose something. And if you go for the specialized knowledge, you can actually seek out things that will benefit you rather than being completely distracted by loads of other little things that just keep cropping up.
Yeah, true, man.
Definitely. Let's see what we have next. We only have a couple of pages left where a lot of it here is going to like making an idea for service. For example, like specialized knowledge is finding out what people's problems are and how you can solve them. And so if you can do that, that's why ultimately you get money, for example, because you provide value. I listened to a podcast this morning, Ed Milet, I'm not sure if you're familiar. The whole ethos was, if you're not making enough money, then people aren't thinking of you as a problem solver or someone of value, or you're not solving enough problems. Because it's so many examples where if you're a gardener, for example, people's gardens are completely overrun, you solve the problem by going and fixing it, when maybe they don't have the time or energy or inclination or skill to do so. Same with so many more examples. Just get it done.
True. Then I guess everyone has to find out what, like we all have our own gifts that we're born with. So you find out what gift you have.
Yeah, what gift you have.
What can you add?
Yeah. What gift you have, what gift you like to do, what gift you're good at is the same thing. So what you're good at, what you like to do, what provides value, and what people need. Or what makes you feel good. Yeah, I think there's those four in tandem.
Like my example is like, for some reason that I don't know, I can communicate with kids.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning, yeah.
Doesn't mean I can teach them, right? That's like a different skill
Different
altogether.
skill,
So
yeah.
I have to learn that skill to then, okay, I can be useful to solve the problem of my kid wants to learn English. It's like, okay, so now I gotta learn how to teach now.
Yeah.
But I can talk to them already, like have like a conversation.
That's great. Wow. I mean, I'm slightly envious because and it's weird because I'm the oldest of four. So you would assume that I'm like really good with kids because I kind of not helped brought up. That's really giving me too much responsibility. But I played with my younger siblings when I was older, and we interacted and we bonded. But I don't class myself as gifted with kids.
I think I got it through like epigenetics.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was recessive because I don't see my mom or dad have this.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
my brother, I do see that he has this.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it all just depends. Yeah. And I'm just thinking like. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's a 5-year-old here and you want to start a conversation, how would you start it? Because I wouldn't have a clue.
Kind of just see what he's interested in, and then see what does he think about that, and then I'll just find stuff that's funny, and then just talk about that. Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's Einstein who says if you can't explain a concept to a 6-year-old, then you're doing it wrong or you're overcomplicating it. And it's actually a very valuable skill when doing any kind of project, realizing that if you can't explain it to someone of that age, you probably don't know the mission specifically.
You can even practice here in Vietnam how to explain one of these concepts to someone who's not a native speaker.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And then it makes you really break it down as simple as possible so they can understand it because they're not native speakers.
Absolutely. That's
And
something
it helps you too to understand it.
It does, yeah. If you want to understand something, teach it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Michael Jordan comes up here as one of the examples of just learning like high standards, his own skills. There's always that clear example of like when he gets dropped from the team. Yeah, he gets dropped from his high school team and he's like, I'm going to show everyone I'm better, and he does. And literally, yeah. So he has his year-round training program. He knows the body and what signals he should listen to, what goals he should achieve, and he goes all out to get it. And then there's a big thing about artists, writers, and people who are generally creative know what specialized knowledge will help them, and they use that as influence for their creative musings.
True.
Yeah, it's all coming up.
That makes me think now, like I gave up, I pretty much gave up on creating music, but then I also gave up on gaining more specialized knowledge on creating music. I just didn't even try to learn more. I was like, oh, this is all I have, then I guess I'll stop.
It goes to like the talent aspect though. I was actually talking to this music teacher about talent, and it's like, yeah, it's there, but the mindset will get you there further. Like the growth versus fixed mindset. Yeah. There's a great book by Carol Dweck on this, by the way. I'd highly recommend.
Ronaldo talks about this too, right?
He does, yeah.
That like, talent can get you so far, but someone who outworks you will win.
Yeah. There's Zlatan, Ronaldo, they've both said the same thing. I remember Ronaldo, when asked his greatest superpower, whether it be his heading, his dribbling, his finishing, he went, my mind.
Hell yeah.
100%. And I hope his mindset's in the right place next year because he's at Man United and we need him. So, the final bit, if you have imagination, this chapter may present you with an idea sufficient to serve as the beginning of the riches you desire. Remember, the idea is the main thing. Specialized knowledge may be found just around the corner. Any corner.
Sweet.
And that will lead us into imagination, which we'll do next time. Is there anything you'd like to say about this chapter before we move on to our submissions?
Funny that he said that it's waiting at any corner because it's true. Like, the specialized knowledge that you might need could be right in your environment.
Yeah.
If you just look.
Could be in your room. Could be in that book that I've just put there.
If you just look, listen, like, closely, it could be right there.
Yeah. Often the answer is right under our nose. Right under our nose. Should we go on to our submissions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice.
We were aiming for like 5 this time.
I think so, yeah.
Well, we got about 8.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so let's see the first one we have here. This one is from Carla. Yo, Carla. Me and Carla are kind of starting like a spiritual mastermind.
Excellent,
But anyways, yeah. She's from Washington State, and the quote she chose was, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartbreak carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit."
Yeah, I think that comes back to the show's ethos. The comeback beats the setback.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you face the setback, often the lesson and the times of our biggest growth periods come from a huge setback. Yeah.
So then that makes you question, is adversity even a bad thing then?
Yeah, it goes back to the thing we've displayed before. You could probably display it as neutral, where getting experience and saying, is this good or bad?
And then also, is failure even a thing? Or is it just a concept?
Concept.
Because I'm thinking now, like, a good idea might be to go to a store, buy a dictionary of the brand you trust the most, whatever, Webster, Oxford, whatever. Just buy that dictionary, open it to the F page, and cut out failure. Just cut it out. Because there's a good chance that failure does not even exist.
Yep. I love that. And it goes back to transformational vocabulary. Thank you, Carla. Excellent submission.
Yes.
Who's next?
Next, we got Chris, my bro Chris, a Bolivian American. He's living in Virginia right now. It is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others succeed.
I'd say so. Goes to teaching. Goes back to the teaching aspect we were discussing. Let's read it again. It is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others succeed.
That's the mastermind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally the mastermind.
It goes to giving, doesn't it? The aspect of like the more you give, the more you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you keep giving and giving and giving, naturally, what you give out, you will get back.
Like if you help other people be successful, that's your success too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's linked.
Yeah. It just depends. Here's the thing: who gets? The thing that I've thought before is who gets the credit and in what way do you get the credit? Yeah, that is ego.
Ego wants credit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if ego is not real, then credit doesn't matter.
Boom. Excellent. I love it. Who's number 3?
Alright, next one. Number 3 is from Ava. Yo, Ava from Jersey Shore. From New Jersey. When your desires are strong enough, you will appear to possess superhuman powers to achieve.
I can say that's definitely
Barnes.
true. Yep. Barnes. Yeah.
Elon.
Yep. Barnes.
Addison.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's bring it.
Yeah.
Even in like certain cases when you're absolutely desperate to succeed, you will find that almost tunnel vision to absolutely get it done. Yeah. I've noticed so many times that when I've been in pretty perilous situations, somehow, because I've been desperate to get stuff done, I found a way. This is very trivial, but when I was, how old was I? 10 years old. My mum sent me to the shop with £10. I lost it. I dropped it. So I went back home. She went absolutely crazy. So I thought, right, I'm not. So I left to go, and I said, I'm not going back to the house until I find that £10 note. And I was absolutely 100% convinced that I'm not. Literally, I'm going to get those £10. Then I'm going to go and buy my fish and chips and come home. Like I'm not leaving without it. And I do remember genuinely, I wasn't going to go home, and I was going to stay out all night until I found that £10 note. Lo and behold, it must have been about 30, 40 minutes. It was going absolutely everywhere. £10 is in the garden. Now, is this a coincidence that it was that £10? I don't know, but I grabbed it and boom, off we go. But I was absolutely determined.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
If you would not have been determined, you would have, definitely given up in the first 5-10 minutes.
It didn't even cross my mind that I'd give up, though. I do remember, which is strange because I haven't always had that level of persistence or resilience. Sometimes I think, I'll go home and she'll
That's a big cookie.
Yeah, that was a big cookie,
That's a big cookie to keep.
I haven't thought about that moment for about 10 years. So it's just, so this is the great thing about this series is we keep thinking of our own cookies.
Yeah.
The moments, yeah.
The Wright brothers, the guys that invented the airplane.
Yeah.
Like they failed how many times? And
So
everyone
many.
told them like, why are you even trying that shit, man?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You want to fly? And then now it's normal to see flying machines
Exactly,
in the
yeah.
clouds.
Yep.
Now you can drink Cuba Libre in the sky.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. You can watch movies in the sky.
Yeah.
Do
Thank you,
everything in the
Wright
sky.
brothers.
Yeah. Thank you, Wright brothers.
You can jerk off in the sky. All right, next. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. This is from Eric.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yes, I do, yeah.
From Alabama.
Yeah, shout out to Eric.
And also my bro Martin from here in Saigon also chose this.
Oh, excellent, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just say it again. Victory is always possible for the person who refuses to stop fighting. Yeah.
It's the same, right?
Yeah, I think it is the same, yeah, because if you refuse to stop fighting, and it's literally, you're going to carry on fighting, maybe victory will be inevitable eventually. Or defeat won't be, because you're still fighting.
It's like Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like fight or die trying.
Yeah, yeah.
And usually those people will win whatever it is they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's just when you see someone who you know is not giving up, and you think, wow. I'll use the Tyson Fury example, when Wilder floors him in the 12th round and goes like that to the camera, looks back, and you just see in his eyes, he's like, the fuck, he's getting up? How?
Dude,
How?
this is taking souls.
Yeah.
This is Goggins now.
Yeah.
taking so. He was doing this.
Yeah, no, I swear he was. Yeah, yeah. And then Fury just gets up and puts him to it on the next round, and Wilder's thinking, shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Hell yeah, man. Good Tyson Fury. Okay, this one is from Hung.
Nice.
Hung says, "Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve."
Can conceive and believe, it can achieve. It goes back to belief, which I think we discussed in chapter 2, of really believing it can happen. And if it comes from your mind, everything started as a thought. The Wright brothers came to a thought, what if something goes across the sky that can get us from country to country?
Yeah.
Yeah, that came about.
And I wonder why, as a kid, you really believed that you would find that 10-pound note.
I just had a feeling. I do remember it. Yeah, yeah, it goes back to everything. Yeah. Yeah, 11-year-old me was just thinking, right, okay, when I'm saying this, right, just to give you some context, because I don't want to sound like I went through the desert for this, my house is just a 3-minute walk, and the shop is about, where I found the £10 note was a 3-minute walk from my house. The shop I was going to, I'll give you the whole story. So I get £10 to go to the chip shop, to get some fish and chips. 7-minute walk. As I get to the chip shop, I've lost the money, so I can't order. So I go back, and so I retrace my steps. So it's about a 7-minute walk. Still though, a £10 note, like, flying around. But I thought it's got to be somewhere along this. So I retraced every single one of my steps. Every single one, and I kept doing it, just in case I missed it. And then I was with my brother, actually, and I told him to go the other side of the road, just to check somehow where it could have gone. I looked in the road. I was looking in the road, but I don't know, I think I just had a feeling that he was coming. Yeah.
And also, I guess, like, you knew where you walked.
Yeah.
And where you might have dropped it.
Yeah. And I was looking for little clues and whatnot, and I was looking around the chippy. I think I went back and said, did I drop £10 in here? She went, no. I went, okay. And then what I actually did, so I'll tell you the whole story. So I go, because I'm not sure if I'm saying this accurately, so I'll try and summarize. I start in my house, walk to the chip shop for 7 minutes, realise I've dropped it, and then think, fuck. So I go back home. And tell my mum I've dropped it, and she shouts at me and says, go and get it. So I went, okay, I'm getting it. And maybe that also influenced me. So I go back and I retraced every single step. And I think it was around 30 minutes that I found the £10 note. And so I start looking everywhere, every road, every garden. I was going into people's gardens. I didn't care. I was like, I'm still going to find it. Usually I think, oh no, what about invasion privacy? No, I was going straight in. I was looking around the bins. I was looking around the flower beds. Finally get that £10 note. And then started celebrating. I actually remember celebrating as if I'd scored a goal. And then my next step was, right, go and get the fish and chips. So I went and got the fish and chips, came back home and went, hey, found the £10 note, gave her a change, and the day was saved. This is such a trivial example compared to other stuff, but it's just hit me during this conversation, so I might as well share it. But it is an example. I mean, when you look back, it's a cookie. It's a cookie. Yeah. I mean, you can judge the scale of how big the cookie is, but it's a cookie.
Yeah. And it shows you, like your faith was pretty strong.
It was. Yeah, the faith and desire was there, and that £10 was going on that chip, and I really enjoyed those fish and chips as well. I went through it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Hung. From Hanam.
Who's next?
Next is my bro Max from Arlington. Max and Luan from Nghệ An chose the same quote, which is, you give before you get.
Yeah. You give before you get. Yeah, naturally you're putting yourself out there. It goes back to a concept we talked about earlier. You keep giving what you put out there, it comes back to you naturally. Yeah, probably.
Like, you don't show up to a mastermind group and just get from everyone.
Yeah, you have to contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you give before you get. Yeah, exactly. Like you turn up to a class to study. Like, the teacher gives you the information, but you have to give something to get there. You have to give your time, your energy, your effort, make notes, ask questions, work with your peers. Yeah, I'd agree.
And I'm trying to think of an example in nature of something that only gets and doesn't give, and I'm just thinking of parasites.
Yeah.
Do you want to be that?
Some people do, but it's not pleasant. Who's next?
Let's see. Next is Bloom from Bindon. This says, the man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does.
The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does. Okay. Right, initially, a lot of the other ones, I've said yes straight away. This one, I'm not sure. Because, we talked about earlier the teacher, for example, the teacher will go the extra mile and do more than what they are paid for, will they get paid more for what they do? Maybe not financially, but in terms of their own personal intrinsic motivation,
True.
yeah.
True.
Yeah, when we say paid,
If it's just money, then I would think like in a for-profit setting, like more like a corporation, not like public school. Then I would think yes.
Okay.
And my example for that is my dad, because my dad, like he, like for his job, which is an office job, he'll work the 9 to 5, then he'll go home on the laptop and just start crushing whatever work he's doing.
Okay.
And by the next day, like all his stuff is finished, and he's been promoted several times now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
I think there is some truth to it.
So I think for that it might work. But if it's like a public school, public library, like whatever.
I guess it depends. I mean, a lot of the quotes we get are very subjective. But no, I think there's definitely something. Yeah.
Let's see. Next one is from Kate in Saigon, Vietnam. She says, "Don't wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you stand and work whatever tools you may have at your command, and better tools will be found as you go along."
Always do your best. Agreement 2 of Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The time will never be just right. Perfection is an absolute myth. Exactly. Just start with what you have. Do the best you have with the moment you're in and what you've got.
That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're using an iPad and a laptop.
Yeah. Just for reference point here, we are in my room, which has not been decorated effectively for a studio. We have a laptop and an iPad here. We have lavalier microphones that cost us about $10, but here we are.
Yeah, we're doing what we can with what we got.
Yeah. And things will upgrade, don't worry, but we've got to make a start.
Yeah, and it feels like that because this is an upgrade from yesterday.
It is. Yeah.
And yesterday is an upgrade from last week.
Yeah, atomic habits, small incremental changes, marginal gains, just getting that little bit better every single day.
Yeah.
Walking before you can run, absolutely. And just building those small cookies. Now we've done 2 videos, including this one. It's another cookie being baked. Next time we'll be more comfortable, another cookie.
And I feel like before I would judge myself like, man, we don't have the right equipment, so it's not cool.
Yeah.
But right now it feels like, now we're on the way.
We're on the way. We're taking action.
We're on the way there.
Is that our final submission?
The last one is just a comment.
The comments.
From Edith, what's up? In Toronto, Canada. And she says, when autosuggestion is properly applied, it can actually bring about results that we are applying autosuggestion towards.
When autosuggestion is properly applied, it can actually bring about results that we are applying autosuggestion towards.
Basically, autosuggestion works.
Yeah.
Just autosuggest to yourself that autosuggestion works.
Yeah. Yeah,
Experiment
exactly. It goes back to like manifestation and just like positive affirmation. It's basically the same.
It's like feel yourself how you feel when you like use autosuggestion about something. Like sense inside of you how do your feelings change every time you say that sentence.
Absolutely.
Like if you have doubt, like oh shit, maybe I can't get up tomorrow to jog at 6 a.m. Maybe I just can't. Like you hear that, maybe I just can't. Can you counter that with, yes I can. How do you feel? Yes I can. Yes I can. Yes I can. Just play with that, experiment, and see how that feels.
Always the yeses. Thank you very much. Really enjoyed this one. We've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
A lot of ground, but I'm loving this. And the next one is imagination, which again goes on to what we've been discussing. I'm looking forward to this next
Going
section.
into the deep end.
Excellent. Thanks very much, guys.
Hell yeah.